And we're definitely gonna cut that part out.
You got the mix board?
Huh?
You got the mix board and
Oh,
all, that's
yeah.
it. Yeah, you can let that play. Damn.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
I just got goosebumps listening to this. I swear to God.
Yeah.
The Eddie Murphy cut.
Yeah.
There. God, this mixtape. We don't even got to record it.
Come
we just
on.
listen to this the whole time.
Man, I was obsessed.
Ice creams, 2 for a pair.
God, this tape was incredible.
Yeah.
Just let it play.
We got Jimmy Gorecki in the building.
He spit this whole time.
Oh, yeah.
He spit.
The Inconsistent Podcast with Rob Haze. Hey.
Look, back
speak
then.
it.
That was what, 05?
Yeah, 05, 06.
Already doing the LV.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. They got to put this on streaming platforms, man.
DJ Drama. Okay, so somebody is putting up Gangsta Grills under the name Gangsta Grills on streaming. I don't know if they're legal or not, but listen to them while you can on your DSPs. I don't know where this money is going. I don't know if lawyers have been contacted.
Who cares?
But yeah, they one by one, and you know, when people find them, they post them. But you know, they're not giving up too much because they don't want them to get caught. Because it doesn't seem official.
It does not.
It's not going under Lil Wayne's name. It's just under the name Gangsta Grills.
The best stuff is generally unofficial, though.
Yeah, right. Live Mixtapes has an app. Dat Piff has an app. So a lot of the old mixtapes are on there.
There's a kid, I forget what his name is. I'm drawing a blank now, but for $45, he sold me a download link with every G Unit and every Diplomats mixtape.
What year was this that you bought this for $45?
Oh, like 6 months ago. And then when I downloaded the file, it just was like, in my iTunes, in my computer, it just was like, splat all these different files and shit. It could have completely compromised my hard drive, but I didn't even care,
sure,
because I got all this music that I.
That's crazy. Were they named properly, or were they named like? Because back then that was the thing. You were just at the. You were just like beholden to whatever the person who had it before you wanted to name tracks.
No, yeah, there's random artwork. It's as scattered as could be, but. I dug through it. I put the time and the work in to get the the freestyles and stuff that I wanted, and now I got to figure out how to get rid of the rest of this shit.
Jimmy, you're from Philly, right?
Yep, I grew up about 30 minutes outside the city, but Philly's
in Pennsylvania, in New Jersey,
in Pennsylvania,
because there are some New Jersey cats that are like, I mean, basically, I'm from Philly.
Yeah, no, in Pennsylvania, one section over from where Kobe grew up. So my mom took me to see Kobe play a lot of high school ball.
Okay.
She was a massive high school ball fan. It was a great era for high school basketball. It was Richard Hamilton is from Coatesville, where my mom is actually from.
Okay.
So I got to see Kobe and Rip play.
Rip Hamilton, yeah.
John Salmons. Southeast Pennsylvania basketball at that time was incredible. So
yeah.
And then couple years later, we got Iverson, we got Beanie Siegel, we got State Property.
Yeah,
it was. I'm very thankful for the time in which I grew up in and around Philadelphia, because it was a fucking blast. I can cuss on here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You can curse if you want to.
All right, cool.
Yeah. It won't affect anything. I mean,
Yeah, no, it was amazing. It was a fucking blast.
Yeah.
I went to Temple. there were days I would come out of class and like Iverson would be sitting there with like Bentley and all his people, and it was a trip, you know.
Right.
It was an era for sure.
When did you start skateboarding?
When I was this big.
Yeah.
When I was little. Yep. Just I think from seeing it in the movies, Gleaming the Cube with Christian Slater and Thrashin' and like I always tell this story. I got an infomercial for this. It says a movie called Psycho Skate, and I had my mom call in, and somehow I don't know if she sent a check in or COD or what. I'm talking like 88.
So you see this, you run and get the phone number, or you're like, next time I see this, I'm gonna like write it down.
And it probably wasn't until the third or fourth time that the commercial came on that I was able to get the number. And then, you know, back then, convincing your parent to do something, to commit to a purchase like that was a whole ordeal. Somehow I got this VHS tape, and that VHS tape changed my life.
Wow.
Psycho Skate.
That's crazy. Because you ended up on a skateboard DVD that changed a lot of other people's lives.
That's a trip, right?
Yeah, that's wild. So like where you grew up, are there a lot of places to skate? Or do skate parks exist? Where are you skating?
Back then, no. You know, skating was such a, you know, you were really like a cast off back then. Nobody really understood it. It was, you know, it was a bit of an anomaly.
Yeah.
I remember so many times, man, just like skating by myself outside the crib. Little, I was like 60 pounds soaking wet, and end up getting beat up by some kids that are just walking through the neighborhood.
Oh no!
You know, it was like.
Did they let you keep your board?
Probably after they dangled it over my head for an hour, and me jumping up trying to get it. You know. But there wasn't, you know, you just skated what was around you. If there was a church there, if there was a high school, if there was, you know, that to me is the beauty of skating, is that you can leave your front door and the world is your oyster, as they may say. So,
I mean, it was hard to be in this skating. Atlanta's got a lot of trees. We got a lot of pine needles, pine cones, a lot of obstacles, you know, hills and no sidewalks, and you know what I'm saying, just a lot of stuff that makes it hard to like get into skateboarding. You know, you got to go actually in the city. Now there's skate parks, which is like bugs me out. Like I'll see kids like
in
with
Atlanta.
skateboard, in Atlanta, and I mean there were definitely skate shops and like little 5 points and stuff, but you had to like, from where I grew up in Atlanta, you would have to like take a bus
Stratosphere
to go skating. Yeah, Stratosphere.
Yeah, Stratosphere. Yeah. Atlanta was one of those cities, you know, so there was a lot of East Coast pride when I was growing up. Philadelphia had a huge scene, DC, New York, Boston, the Carolinas. There were certain cities that had shops and distributions. But once you got really into the South, there were a lot of, and still are a ton of really good skaters there, but it kind of got swept. You know, you just didn't. There wasn't a lot of noise coming out.
Yeah.
But I get it. Having visited Atlanta over the years, you can see how it's not particularly the most favorable place to go street skating.
It's not very conducive to street skating.
Yeah.
There was this whole thing I watched about Element skateboards, and basically they started at this compound where Lil Jon was also like making beats and stuff.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Because Lil Jon is a big skate rat too, right?
I don't know, but I guess he was around, you know, I guess he was around it. Yeah. And, you know, like you see Element, you see the tree, and you're like, oh yeah, Atlanta trees. I could see that.
Yeah.
Well, like, so you were a street skater. Did you ever think about like sponsored competition, X Games, like the stuff we see on TV?
Not until I got a little bit older. I always knew it was something that I was really, really passionate about and that I really loved deep down inside. It wasn't until, I want to say maybe 94, 95, where some videos came out that were really highlighting what was going on the East Coast, particularly in Philadelphia, and I realized, oh, there's a whole gang of individuals that are sponsored, that are professional, and they're doing it from a hop, skip, and a jump away from where I live at. So
Yeah.
in Philadelphia. And so at that point, we started jumping on the regional rail, the SEPTA rail, to take the train downtown. And we could, I think if 12 and under, it was 75 cents.
Okay.
So, $2 was a lot back then. So like, we get our $1.50 and like hopefully scrounge up some change to get a drink, but then ride the train down there. And then at that point, it was like, okay, it opened my eyes up to the fact that there's a whole scene down there.
Right.
Then it's like some time goes by, and rather than just experiencing these the skate landscape down there, it's like, oh, I can get into the mix with the guys that are. I'm realizing now, okay, my skating is kind of holding up with what I'm seeing going on around me.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can do a couple things, if I can get a couple of these guys' attention, then I might have a shot at this.
Yeah.
And that's what I just hung around long enough for to the
Right.
point they didn't have I didn't give them any option other than to
Okay.
be like, okay, Jimmy, you're in the mix.
That's part of the grind. You just being available, being around.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially without social media. I can, like now, if somebody gets nice at skating, they can make a TikTok.
Yeah.
And, the whole world can see it. They can put it on Red Note. Who
Yeah.
knows where TikTok is by the time you watch this. But, like...
Sunday, it's a wrap.
Yeah. Hey,
I keep fucking with my daughter. I'm like, you got about 4 more days of this.
Right. They can put it on YouTube Shorts, I guess.
Yeah.
But, back then, just being recorded probably was like a thing. Like how do you get discovered as a street skater?
It's interesting because I always think about, I try to digest this a lot. Like, how does a kid get on now versus when I got on? You had to meet filmers and photographers that could help then distribute your, I hate saying this fucking word, but content to the appropriate parties, whether it was in magazines. You had some different.
Oh man, I never bought a Thrasher, but I would flip through Thrasher every month at the store.
And here's the thing, but back then we had Thrasher, we had Slap. There was a lot. So getting into the magazines was a huge into getting somebody on. And then getting into these video magazines was another way to get on. And man, once I met a couple of these filmers and photographers, man, I just badgered them. I would tell them I was going to do tricks I knew I couldn't even do just to get them in. Because maybe if I couldn't try it, I could try to film something else,
Right.
Like, you just got to work your angles, man.
That's crazy. No wonder like poser was like a slang term, because it probably was people like, if I take this picture and look like I'm doing something, maybe I can like get on.
Because you had kids. It wasn't cool to dress like a skater back then. It wasn't.
Matter of fact, skater was an insult. If I remember a time where like if you had some shoes and somebody said, "Man, them some skate shoes," that was the joke. Was the
You couldn't you just couldn't, just wearing airwalks or whatever. If you wore whatever like the skate adjacent shoe was at the time, you just couldn't. I remember wearing DCs when they first came out in 7th grade. And how kids would snap on each other in school. And, and the kid was like, Jimmy got some fake champions on. Bro.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, bro, I had really, my mom was hella cool. My big sisters were really cool. So I they would get me like the hot shit. But then once I got into skating, that's why I started. So I'm like, man, I had champions before.
Right.
These are like, you don't even know what these are.
Yeah.
And I just remember to a whole slew of kids that sit in that corner, I looked like I had some Bobos on, That's just what it was back then.
Yeah, and I remember like when skate shoes were fat, that's when like people at school were not into people wearing skate shoes. And like, everything was like Forces and, Nike basketball, just like, Converse, but just the weapons and the Dr. J's, you know what I'm saying? But like everything was super, like just one way, one thought process.
Yeah.
And if somebody had something different, first of all, you better know how to skate.
Yeah.
If you go with the skate stuff, you better know it. Hey, you better impress somebody because that's even worse. That's even worse if you had on skate stuff then and couldn't skate.
It's funny, now you're making me go down a hole. Because in the late '90s, you had this push from a lot of the brands where they were building and designing shoes that were really inspired by athletic brands, by Nike. That looked like Air Max 95s and looked like Tuned Airs, and some of them turned out to be some of the most massive skate shoes ever produced. Some of which have come back. That the Under Armour, that sneaker, that Rocky that was an Osiris that was designed off of a Nike Kakuna, I believe. I think that's the name of the shoe.
Man,
and that's
was a shoe I was not allowed to have,
bro. That was the biggest
Kakuna or whatever. Because my parents was all like, you cannot get a shoe that you can't hoop in.
Yeah,
we know you. If a game breaks out, you can't just be breaking your ankles. I wasn't allowed to have Prestos, none of them soft Nike shoes with the plastic on them. I couldn't have none of them.
I remember going to get a pair of Prestos, and remember they were size. They weren't. It was like small, medium, large. And I think I got too big of one, so it was like that sock toe.
Oh, your toe was poking
bro,
through.
I looked like the Iron Sheik. Like my shits were coming up like a gypsy or something. Yeah, fuck. But yeah, a lot of those shoes were designed, and even trying to get that stuff off at school. I remember another time I came in with like. It wasn't a DC tracksuit, but it was, 4-star or something, alphanumeric, and like some brown Wallies on. Obviously Wallies were big. It was like coming off the Wu-Tang era.
Yeah.
And I remember a kid being like, that ain't it, Jimmy. And I'm like, damn, like kids were, I'm sure kids are brutal now, but kids were brutal back then. Yeah.
They're crazy now. Now kids be like, kids be wanting designer stuff now, which is nuts.
I'm so glad that you brought that up.
Kids be like, yo, where the long bonds at? It's like, what are you talking about?
Listen, I'm so glad that you brought this up.
You don't pay any bills.
Listen to me. I'm so glad that you brought this up because I went to put this hat on today, and I had to think about what this purchase was and what went into it.
Okay, I assume you got it from free. I thought Pete said that.
And the ramifications that go into purchasing, and it is so normal for these kids. Like, they'll have the Balenci on with the pants, and it's like, yo, I remember just going into like Neiman Marcus being like, one day I can afford something here.
Oh man, I was a window shopper.
So
I used to be, and it's so funny.
How do they afford it?
Because my sister would be uncomfortable. We'd be at Phipps, and I'd be like, "Let's go look at Louis. Let's go look at Louis Vuitton." She'd be like, "I don't want to do that. I don't feel comfortable. We can't buy anything in there." I'm like, "Yo, let's just see what's going on. Let's just see what's happening over there."
Dude, when my lady, she likes a lot of high end brands, but those purchases come when they can come, But
right.
Even still, we be sitting outside the store and like gotta psych ourselves out. She'll be walking up and then I'll see her go to hit a U-turn and I gotta turn her back around. She wanted a Goyard bag really bad, and we were in London, and I watched this lady talk herself out of this every which way possible, and I'm like, girl, you work your ass off.
Yeah.
It's not like you're sitting here burning down Beverly Hills on a weekly basis. If you don't march your ass in there and get that bag that you just worked so damn hard to get. But these kids, it's like they go to school and I'm like, bro, where are they getting the money for this?
I don't know. I don't know where they're getting the money. I don't know where they're getting the expectations. Like when I was in school, if a girl had a Dooney and Burke, that was it.
That was it.
That was it. If a girl had a coach, that was it. Like we were just trying to get a throwback.
And think of
We
what
were just trying to get. I had a Mitchell and Ness headband. I remember the dude at Total Sport. He was
Total
like,
Sports, yes.
he was like, man, you're not really authentic if you think you just gonna wear this headband. I'm like, nah, dog. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get a throwback. But if I put this Mitchell and Ness headband, it's gonna go with my shoes. I wear a white tee. It's gonna be straight. I'll be straight.
How much was the headband?
Like 20.
Yeah. Cause
And even then, if I told my dad, he'd be like $20. Because
think of what the
$20 for a headband.
Think of what.
How much you think your sweat is worth?
Yeah. Think of what the ticket for a jersey was. I was a complete window shopper. I go into Mitchell and Ness, and for one, everything was 52, 56 and up. But you know the least desirable jersey back then was $325, $350.
Yeah.
If you wanted the one that like Fab had on, that's $500.
I had Nike Swingman.
Yep.
You know,
People,
it was
and,
buy one get one and half off.
And you
had to talk my sister
listen,
into getting the other one, so we split the price.
Tell people how degrading it was to have a Swingman on back then.
Oh no. The Swingman was it.
You like it
because the replica was underneath the Swingman. So I'm wearing the Swingman with the swoosh under the Nike.
Seriously.
Like you got a Reebok or a Champion under your Nike, like under your NBA symbol. You're not even like us. See, we got fake stitches.
Maybe I think coming from Philly, I
might be a little younger.
So yeah, that's probably what it is, because if you wore anything in the early 2000s other than the Mitchell and Ness,
people
were coming for you.
Oh,
you
man.
couldn't have a swoosh.
Just Blaze told the story
logo.
About he bought a jersey and then he said Dame Dash would walk past him and be like, "Hey man, make sure everything you do is authentic." And it's like, yo, he's just really there to make beats.
Yeah.
But, you know, he didn't have the authentic jersey. He didn't have the stitch joint with the elastic on it.
So that's what these kids are now. It's like our Mitchell and Ness jersey is like their, you know, whatever, their Marnie or their you know, their LV or
Spider,
Hellstar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a trip out there. I don't want no parts of it.
I mean, but you in the business though. you in the fashion world.
Man.
The way we got cool is after I did Deezus and Mero, I had the pleasure of you sending me some gear. You sent me some standard issue tees, white tees.
Devin, did you hear that?
White tees and black tees. I still have them. This was like 5-6 years ago. Great quality. I wish I did an unboxing because if you in the streetwear, then you know that like the high-end streetwear stuff comes in a dope bag. These had a Ziploc bag and it had like some like silver stuff. It was like freeze-dried ice cream type of, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like some reflective type stuff that the shirts was in. And then, I get the shirts, and then I don't even know that these shirts about to blow up. Yeah. I'm just like geeked that somebody sent me something. I don't even know LeBron about to wear this shirt. I don't even know that, like, you know, Chris Paul about to wear this stuff. I had it before I seen anybody in it.
That's sick.
Yeah,
I'm glad, but not to backtrack you too much, because Devin and I keep arguing about which of us cross paths with you first. And my girl's like, she's like, I put you on to Rob, and I'm like, no, we were both watching Deezus and Mero, and saw Rob on there, and then I reached out to Rob, and she was like, nah, I told you about him before that.
Okay. That's crazy.
Maybe she did, but
maybe yeah.
I don't know.
I was appreciative. I wish I had rep further because I didn't know. I didn't know. Yeah. But I was rocking them.
We were huge. I mean, we still are huge Deezus and Mero fans, and we will watch that show religiously. You know, it's like it was like if me and you got our own talk show. It's like two
Right.
homies saying what the fuck you want to hear, but at a late night spot. And then we saw you on there, and we were just crying. We're like, "Yo, who is this guy, man? Like, your delivery, your pronunciation, and your type of humor just had me and Devin rolling." And I'm like, "Bro, we gotta meet this guy because he is fucking funny, yo."
I mean, I was hyped when I met them. I met them at Fallon, and I was, I was like, I was ready. Like, are they gonna be cool? Are they gonna be Hollywood? And they were so cool to me.
And you guys shot that out here?
We shot that in New York.
Okay.
And then in New York, I ended up doing their show right before the end of the Vice era. And it was fire. It was fire. And then
those two, man, it's I guess it's a common thread where it's like nothing good lasts forever. You know? It's like, especially we're seeing it play out with like Jimmy and the Diplomats.
I think they're gonna be. I think they're gonna get it together. I think.
But it's like, it's Pharrell, it's Chad. It's like, it sucks that these people that form these collectives, that all of these other things, the business and what comes along with success, those are the things from the outside looking in are hard for me as a fan to, to put into perspective, because I'm not living in their shoes and understand what they've been dealing with together for years. But fuck, man, I miss Deezus and Mero so bad, yo.
Yeah, man.
Please, come on, man, figure it out, yo.
I'm glad to see Mero doing his thing. I'm glad to see Deezus doing his thing. But they had some synergy. They were the quickest minds. I listen to their podcasts. I'm like, I gotta slow this down.
Yo,
they go so fast.
People that have, and you're on that same line, but man, people.
But hey, I'm naturally slow. It's people, they tell me, hey, I speed up the pod.
But you guys have
I can't watch it live, Rob, because then it's regular speed. I watch it on 2x.
Man, yeah. I just that level of wittiness and type of humor and the subject matters that are being spoke about and the way that they're spoke about, it's special, man. It's definitely a talent, and
man, thank you.
I love it, man.
Jimmy, how did you get into like making clothes? Like what made you want to get into making clothes? I think we was talking earlier about the white tee era and the tall tee era and everything, but like what made you want to like,
I think
put your hat in
it's hard to say any one thing. I'm very fortunate. Like I said, my sisters were like huge fashionistas growing up. They had all the hot shit. The neighborhood I grew up in and around, once I moved into the city, my one of my best friends, my mentors, he got me a job at a sneaker boutique when streetwear and culture was really just starting to get going in the early 2000s. Called Ubik. That taught me a lot.
Okay. I remember Ubik. I've been to Ubik.
Ubik was around when they first opened. They had this not tiny. I see it was a bigger store in the gallery in Philadelphia, which was like a super busy mall. It was a spot, but they were getting all this shit from Japan. And I just, when I first worked there, they just stuck me in the stock room. So I was kind of learning. You got to put everything. So I'm learning all the styles, and then they start selling clothes. So I'm learning all the brands that they're offering. The first the only skate company I really, really skated for that was like I was like wholeheartedly passionate about, was ran by a gentleman named Sal Barbier, and Sal is a skateboard legend. He's also a fashion legend. Him and Virgil did a collection for Off-White prior to Virgil passing away, and everything that Sal implemented in this brand was all the things that we just talked about. It was funneling those same ideas into a skate brand. Some the designs were ironic. There was a lot of satire. But it was, they had fucking velour suits in 2001.
Okay.
Like that. That's not a typical skate thing.
Yeah.
And then all of the people that worked in and around these, from Ubik to aesthetics, all pretty much all went on to we're all designers. We're all graphic designers, technical designers, marketers. So these were the people that I came up under as a skateboarder. And once I realized my skate career was, I had my days, it was like, what's the next transition? And the thing that I was always passionate about and still am to this day was clothes and sneakers. So
okay,
it just was kind of natural segue into it. I spent a couple years working in television, which was like by the grace of God. At the end of Ice Cream, I got to help Fred Savage, of all people, launch a TV show for Disney XD that got picked up. And Fred's partners in the pilot offered me a deal to come on as a consultant. We got 3 seasons. It was more money than I'd ever made in my life.
That's crazy. How'd you get hooked up with Fred Savage?
So Jackass, Dick House Productions, Jeff Tremaine.
Okay.
Jeff was, for Ice Cream, we had a TV, we had a pilot deal with MTV.
Really?
I believe the pilot got picked up, but we never actually shot it. But Jeff used to run Big Brother magazine, which was a skate publication. So me and Jeff had a good rapport. His partner Shauna, they were like, hey, go meet this guy. He's a friend of ours. He's shooting a TV show. We think you can help him. I didn't think anything of it, but I always knew, take the fucking meeting. It's like, yo, kids out there, somebody wants to meet with you, take the meeting.
Of course.
So I meet with this guy at a coffee shop on a Sunday morning. It's Fred Savage. And
did you know it was him immediately? Were you like
instantaneously?
What would you do if I sang out of tune?
It's like I grew up on all those shows, so instantaneously, I'm like, oh man, this is a trip.
Mm-hmm.
He was hella cool, and I just spoke to him like I think that's a difficult thing for skaters when they speak to people outside of skating about skating. They have the tendency to talk down to them.
Yeah.
Because it's such a protected thing where it's like, if you can find that through line to help someone understand your message better, it's human nature, right? It's common sense. Like, so he invited me to help him shoot this pilot. I didn't know anything about it, but I knew I'm resourceful as fuck and I can figure this out if I get in the situation. And the actors, I need doubles for them. The prop people, this is the right materials you need. Construction, here's what we got to build. Videographers and DP. Let me bring on some guys that actually film skating, because your guys can't ride along these guys with a camera with a skateboard. Let me get the right guy. Just things like that.
Oh. And wait, Fred Savage had a skateboard show?
It was called Zeke and Luther.
Zeke and Luther.
On Disney XD.
Okay.
And it was, I think it did really well. We had 3 seasons, and what I came to believe or hear was the 4th season they would have had to double everybody's rate.
Oh yeah.
And
that's how you get like Sweet Life on Deck. They're like, this is a different show.
Yeah.
This season 1 of a different show. Yeah.
I'm almost certain there was like some weird spin-offs of it too. But it was a good transition thing for me.
Okay.
After Ice Cream. Because after Ice Cream, I'm like, where do I go from here? I just was part of like the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, I definitely want to ask you about the Ice Cream stuff for sure. Like, so how do you get hooked up with Pharrell and the Ice Cream skate team?
So the same gentleman that got me that sneaker job way back when, Nino, I love you to death. Nino and Pharrell had worked together at Zoo York.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a pretty iconic group of images that Ryan G shot of Pharrell doing a handstand in an alleyway, which was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, behind the TLA in Philadelphia. And they did this joint campaign at Zoo. Pharrell and Nino clicked on the skate stuff because Nino had actually come from the skate world, and they just started building from there. And it was Bape hadn't really like burst on the scene just yet, as big as it was going to be in the world.
Right.
We had already sold. I remember selling the ice cream shoes in Ubik, and people weren't really knowing how to digest a $200 basically a Stan Smith.
Isn't that crazy?
Like they really sat there that first run, and then it was almost like it was almost like a soft launch followed by a hard launch once the clothes started to come out. And Nino asked me to join, and at first I said no. Because coming from the community that I came from, it was too much. Skating is this really like tight knit, non-mainstream thing. And I circled back about a year later. And I don't know if I make this up in my own head, but I almost certainly recall calling him back in the same place that I said no at to ask him if this spot was still available.
Interesting.
And sure enough, he said yeah.
That's crazy because I understand this skating is a tight-knit community at that time, right? Mm-hmm. But like at that time also Nike SB exists, Tony Hawk Pro Skater exists. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like
I don't know if it was
like
I don't know if it was the magnitude of what Pharrell's celebrity was growing to be. I don't know if it was the vibrancy of like what Bape was and the patterns. I don't know what it was a combination of a lot of things that initially had kind of scared me away. But I have found myself at times over the years just being like, man, thank God that when I did circle back to Nino that it was still there. And because I owe everything in the world to Nino and Pharrell, the two of them, and everyone that has worked at Star Trek and Ice Cream and BBC over the years, and some still do, like Loic, Philip, Mick, like there's so many people there that I'm like, man, it really did change my life. And
wow,
it's one of these things when I look back on the timeline of the culture and things that have made their mark, I'm like, yeah, I'll go on the record and even say, when in Pharrell's career, it's like the skate team is very high up there in regards to like impactful things that gentleman put together, and the imprint it left on fashion, just culture in general.
Come on, man. Come on. I mean, I was like, I don't know. At that time, I knew it's not good in the cards for me to be a skater, but I was like, this is the first time what I like is being like pushed.
Yeah,
it's the first time it's like it's colors, it's skateboard, it's a skateboard DVD with black people in it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean. I was hyped when Terry Kennedy was on Viva La Bam. You seem like the rebel. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, we didn't really like everybody was like BBC down. You might have on the A-Life Wu-Tang shirt. You might have on a Crook shirt. You might have on a Phillies hat. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of those guys, they were, it was a big thing for me. Trust me, just as big as it was for them. I was fortunate prior to be introduced to a lot of other stuff. Like I always, one piece I always wish I still had was when we went to Tokyo to open the ice cream store, the Futura hoodie that I wore there was a Futura Laboratories hoodie. I always wish I still had that. But all those things, that Woo A-Life shirt, it's like I liked so many other things, and there were times where I would have the whole uniform on.
Yeah.
And then there were times where I liked to mix and match it and put this with that, and still, you know, that was always kind of my thing. Like, let's do a little something with the top, mix it with something, you know.
Yeah.
Like, so, but that's cool that you recognize that.
Oh
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. No, like I mean, I feel like we were all trying to see what season 1, season 0 looked like.
Yeah.
So we were all peeping, you know, like the different gear and stuff that people had on.
We would take trips up to New York to the Bape store, and I remember when, you know, like someone would have to make a call, like, hey, this kid Jimmy's gonna come through, you know, as part of the skate team, let him in there. But it was just the denim railroad hat, the big oversized one. It was the polo. It was just a shirt. You know, it's like when it was that early, when it was just like those season -1, you know,
right.
It's like those initial pieces that were just kind of coming out. Yeah, it's a trip when I look back on how it all came
now
forth.
Pharrell's
you know,
like the head of Louis.
That's insane.
It's
man.
crazy.
Good for, and you know, his you know, like I don't. You ever see those commercials, like the Louis commercial that he did with like the crown, and it's like this guy's had a relationship with them.
Oh
for
yeah,
20-some years. You know,
they brought the millionaire shades back.
Yeah, it's like, I think when Virgil passed, and those were obviously massive shoes to fill. It's like for where Louis as a brand was and is, and understanding its connection to the people and to the communities and cultures. Like, there's no one better to have brought in there than to me was Pharrell. You know,
right? No, it was an excellent move, and it definitely was the right move. You know, like you know, I think everybody was expecting a departure in a totally different direction, and it was almost like, you know, no, we like this space, and we found someone who can exist and has always existed, you know, separate from trends.
We were in. I had to go to Paris for a skateboarding contest, and my wife is really good friends with one of Pharrell's partners, and the one thing that I was always curious about was, like, you know, I know Pharrell he's got a family, he's got so many businesses, he's got music. How is he going to have the time to do this? Like, this isn't just something you could just mail in or sign off on some designs here and there. And when we had dinner with the young lady, she was like, bro, we live in those Louis offices. This guy relocated his whole life, and this, you know, he is in there morning, noon, and night. And, you know, everything else in his life revolves around this situation. And, you know, I was like, it makes sense, because during the time period that we worked together, you know, if I was in Miami and I saw him, you know, 99.9% of the time he was at the Marlin in that studio producing, working. I truly don't know how he does it. You know, his level of you know, endurance and exhaustion and like all of these things that it takes to can continue to strive and be successful at that level is like, I don't, you know, I don't know what or who, you know, could endure that level of longevity, you know.
Right.
So I applaud him, man, and I really I ride for Pharrell, man. Like, that guy changed my life, you know, and which is why when somebody like Drake wants to make a comment about Louis and Pharrell being there, I'm gonna take it so personal. You know? So it's like, you know, dude, when this thing's all said and done, it's like that his space in the record books is gonna be like LeBron level gaps, you know, between him and the next individual.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's not. None of it was given. None of it, you know what I'm saying? This guy worked for the place that he's at, you know, and rightfully deserves to sit where he sits at. So thank you, Pharrell.
Yeah. Shout out to Pharrell.
I don't like you. The shit that Pharrell for him, I inherit the beat.
Wow. Seething, man. Why did he just? After that came out, you should have just left it alone, yo.
Hey, man. And now he's coming for your boy. He's coming for LeBron.
Don't. Just should have just left it alone, man. This is a crash out like no other, man.
I mean, to be expected though. I think that you can't be top guy so long, and I think a lot of this, the writings was on the wall with that For All the Dogs album.
Here's my thing: is this, this is just me speaking as kind of like a fan and kind of a comrade.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the Drake and Meek thing happened, you did everything in your power to bury this guy's career.
Right.
Like to embarrass him.
Mm-hmm.
To make him to diminish you weaponized his lady against him.
Meme culture.
You used her success, which that's foul. So because you're basically saying, like, if I was Nicki, I would have took offense, because you're basically saying that, like, you're damn near diminishing who she is, because you're placing her partner's success as a man against that. Like there were just so many,
right? But I think Drake had the women at that point,
for sure,
and so I think he knew women would laugh at that.
But I say that to say this is like,
yeah, man. I feel like Drake was able to go funny because we were able to laugh with him at that time.
But it was all at the expense at another human being's, another artist's well-being, which that's the culture of battle rap, right? Like,
yeah,
it wasn't. Now we're coming into a time of social media where it's like, I'm sure, Nas and Jay, they get some shit off, but there's no scroll of the phone to see how bad it really is looking out there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. And now, like, we're looking at things in a lot of different lenses. So now, there was no discussion about, hey, man, this is sexist. Why can't your girl make more money than you? Why couldn't you be on your girl's tour? Yeah. There was no discussion of that in 2015. So it was all,
So now we move into 2024, 2025, and it's like, like everything, like, it's all on the table now, and you on that side have also continued to weaponize these tactics, and now when it works against you, it's all unfair,
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like, bro, we've had 30 years to sit with Pac saying, Prodigy had sickle cell.
Right.
We had 30 years.
That's how I found out.
It's like,
I didn't know.
Like, that's the culture of rap battle, know, and because it all worked against you, now it's unfair. Now, now there's an issue with it. It's like, it doesn't work that way, bro. You don't get to use these things to your advantage and then cry to fucking blues when it doesn't work for you, yo.
It's going to be interesting because, the thing about the law is they set precedents, right? So it's like, if someone gets away with suing a company, then it's like, for me in comedy, it's kind of scary because it's like, what if Kanye were to sue South Park?
Bro,
what if
I said to you that your business partner fathered your child, all bets are off, are they not?
Right.
Like damn near you're punching me dead in the face.
Right.
Next time you see Jimmy.
Or I'm putting out a banger the next day.
So it's like, man, like, you can't.
That's true too.
You can't get in the pig pen and then get mad when the shit gets messy.
True. But I think what sucks is that court cases have notoriously been bad as far as like consistency with, determining hip hop lyrics and hip hop and different things. So there's a world where Drake wins the court case.
Yeah. And
not only that, it sets a precedent for other people to sue in similar instances.
Yeah.
And also it's like the laws and the ethos of hip hop has no place in a courtroom.
No.
And so it's almost like, that doesn't matter, but how this case is ruled will matter.
Yeah.
But I want to get into what you're doing
Sorry to go on
now.
a tangent.
I feel like you got some dope stuff. If you ever see me with one of these cardigans, this is standard issue. Like a lot of NBA players wearing it. We just seen Kevin Hart with the JSP on. Like talk about the stuff that you're doing now. I feel like you were on the post and everything, and then the pandemic happened and everybody was in sweats, and now you make some of the best sweats. You make stuff that you can actually live in, wash, wear, and it's not like, oh man, now it's all ratty, now it looks all crazy.
Yeah.
Like really to like live and like do stuff in.
I appreciate that. That I always I really, really appreciated watching you do what you do, and taking standard issue along the ride with you. Like seeing you do stand up with the cardigan on was like such a cool feeling, because I was like, man, this was just a gentleman that I just reached out to online. He didn't have to hit me back, and this is where we find ourselves at. And I think a lot of my direction and involvement and participation in everything that we do with the brand is generally just out of reaching out to people and saying, this is what we do, this is what we make. I'd love to get you some stuff to try out, and if you fuck with it, cool. If not, then all good. But it really, like even what we were talking about, like the skate fashion, growing up, it was, I love skate culture, but I also love the music. I also love, where I came from, where I grew up in, the type of neighborhood I grew up in, and just getting fresh in sweatsuits was all really, really part of it. And I wanted to make some sweatpants, and I actually went to Diamond Supply Co.
Okay.
And Nick, who started Diamond, is a really old friend of mine. There was a young lady doing production for him at the time named Kelly, and Kelly was like, I'm gonna connect you with this guy named Jared out in Vernon. He produces clothes, and I just brought some Supreme sweatpants down there that I really liked, because I didn't know how to do CADs or tech packs or sketches or anything. I didn't know formal design training. I just knew, what I liked and what I wanted to wear for myself. And Jared helped me sample them out, and next thing you know, he's like, let's put together this JSP thing, and we'll just figure it out as we go along. So this was I met him in 2011, and then we did it till about 2014, 2015. We would just drop sweatsuits here and there, really basic, but really like sturdy, husky, really heavy French terry and fleece, and it was awesome, man. And a lot of it back then was just getting it to, I knew Diplo from way back in the day, and I'd send Diplo a pair and he would throw it up, or send Virgil a pair. I knew Virgil from skating through Nino, and he'd put it up, and even all your friends. It was like I had a lot of really close family friends that were skaters or doing different shit that were buying them and throwing them up on early Instagram, but we didn't know how to make a business out of it, and it's like I had just had a daughter, and my wife was super busy with her career, so like just trying to figure it all out, it didn't really align. So worked on a couple projects, worked at Gourmet Footwear with my mentor Greg Lucci for a couple years.
Okay, I remember Gourmet.
Yeah, with the duck boot with the airbag and stuff. And then one of Lucci's mentors, Mark Gaynor, started a handmade shoe company in out of Venice, and he invited me to come work along with him, and that was an amazing experience. Got to make like Markel Fultz's sneaker for his draft selection night.
Okay.
Got to make a size 17 desert boot for Kevin Durant.
Okay.
But then fortunately, man, I think my heart was still on the clothing side, still with the ideas of JSP. And Jared, my partner, just called me up and was like, man, I have this idea, Jimmy. I think you'll really fuck with it. It's called Standard Issue. And I was like, well, what is it? And he's like, I'm going to send you something. And this box shows up, and just as you had mentioned, it's these beautifully packaged T-shirts. And this is post American Apparel, so, you know, my drawers are missing those tees I used to go to. You know, I'm not going to JCPenney and get the Staffords like I did back in the day during the white tee era.
Right.
So I'm like, there was this void in my own closet that I recognized, and here this package showed up that completely, you know, fulfilled that void. And it was an amazing black T-shirt, an amazing white T-shirt, single pack, 3-packs, and this husky thermal. And I was like, damn, dude, this is like really, you know, really nice shit. The packaging, you can travel with it. And, you know, I helped him out for a little bit, just kind of on the seating side. And maybe during that time, do you remember what year you were on Deez Zamero?
18. It was April of 18.
Okay, so this was a little bit prior to that. And, I'm working in at the No One spot, the Handmade Shoe Company. It's in Venice, and you know, for people that know the landscape of LA, we live past Dodger Stadium, so driving from there pre-pandemic to Venice every day, and back.
Well, using that traffic.
This is like 3 hours of traffic every day, and it is. I hit my level of exhaustion, man. I just was like, yo, this ain't. You know, for one, I got to get to my kid every day to get her from preschool, you know, and it's just like, you know, and Jared's right down the street, and he's like, bro, I'm working on this thing. If you can come help me out, we can implement those ideas of JSP into this, all under the same e-com umbrella, and we can just get rolling. And you know, I trusted. You know, he's been in the garment manufacturing business for 20-some years. I knew his business. His business is really solid, too. So in terms of handling business, I knew I was working with someone that I'm not having to worry about shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause, you know, that partnerships are difficult in that sense. And the trust is there. You know, he knows everything that I have inside of me, I'm going to give to this, and vice versa. And you know, and I just watched him build out. You know, what do you think of this, Jimmy? And you know, we're just as the years progress, just putting out new products. You know, we don't have the hugest menu, but what we do have, I think we make really, really well. And we've been at it for, you know, since 2017, navigating the pandemic. You know, navigating everything that life has presented us. You know, up until today, and not to say it's not been extremely challenging at times, as all businesses are, as we talked about this, the market and fashion in particular. With you know, I used to laugh. You know, I was like, man, we really were. I saw a shift where a lot of people's line sheets changed to sweatsuits. I saw the shift pandemic where everything became really sweatsuit heavy. You know, and you know, it was nice when certain like press people would acknowledge it.
Right. No, I think I told you when I saw the like Polo was doing tie-dye sweats, and I was like, yo, y'all been had the tie-dye sweats, you know?
The tie-dye was crazy. That was like definitely a thing.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like, but like as an Eagles fan, how dope is it that you were able to like partner and make sweats with the like Eagles stuff?
Bro, can I'll tell you something. That partnership was so important to me that I lost everything in and around me doing it. You know, like from the second that conversation started, I went to my wife and I told her, there's nothing more important to me in the world other than you and Amelia, our daughter.
Wait a minute. What'd you have to do to get this deal? What are you about to say?
No, I didn't have to do. No, it
hey, baby. Hey, no, I'm going to have to do some things, but it's the Eagles.
No, not that I had to. the conversation started very organically, but I said to myself, I just treated this thing as if at any point between now and the moment that it says it's for sale, like anything could restrict this thing from coming out. And there were so many hurdles. You're working directly with the NFL. You're working with their licensing people. Mm-hmm. They're treating us as if we're Adidas. There's a lot of hurdles you got to jump.
Like spend a lot of money on samples.
You got to spend. There's licensing fees and royalties, but then there's just so many approval processes. I've got to get the team on board multiple times. Once they're on board, I got to kick it over to the NFL, their lawyers, their trademark people. I got to get the designer has to work. Like, I just basically told the kid I designed it with, like, bro, this thing is like the second I give you the notes and the feedback, like, I need the revisions like 6 hours ago, because that's how quickly. And that's what I mean, like, everything in my business at home, like, everything else suffered, because I just was like, this is the most important project. Like, I dreamt of a scenario like this. And, look, it came out in October of 23, and, like, we just wrapped up 24, and, like, Kevin Hart's wearing it now. I sent it to Kev a year ago. Gilly's wearing it really. Gilly wore it through the whole. I'm pretty sure he's superstitious, so he wore it through.
He wore it to
weeks.
The locker room. Yeah.
Bryce Harper just threw it on Sunday. It's like, it's such a fulfilling and a nice feeling inside when these efforts that you put so much time into. Everybody's looking for metrics, and everyone's like, if it doesn't do, X out the gate, then it's a failure. And it's like, bro, you do these things, and the ones that are really heartfelt, you'll continue to see residual impacts from.
Yeah.
And that has always been my, like, anytime we go into a partnership, I'm like, this isn't about this drop date. This thing is about how this thing impacts as time progresses, and I think I even told the Eagles that, and it's like, that's, so we're sitting here 2 seasons later, and these people are still wearing it. People are still asking me, like, dude, can we get a restock?
Come on. I was at a Clippers game, and I saw somebody with the Clippers cardigan on, and that's when I was like, bruh, how do I not have a Lakers joint? Yeah. And that's when I got the Lakers suit.
Yeah, we did. The NBA project, similar thing, where it's like, there's just a lot of moving pieces. Each team has their own team you're communicating with. They have their own ideas of how they're going to process it and get behind it. The Clippers really got behind it. The Bucks really got behind it. The Cavs really got behind it. The Lakers, I don't even know where it ended up. Like the Sixers, I would have thought that was going to be a walk in the park. And then you got to take things by the horns yourself. And I got, I know the photographer for the Sixers. He plugged me with Tyrese. I'm like, such and such, I think Tyrese is about to wear the shit. Next thing you know, it's on the Sixers Instagram, and it's like, we could have did this together. Yeah, like, I shouldn't have to be behind the scenes, putting these pieces together.
Right.
These companies, they're huge, man, and it's sometimes I'm like, they're so not smart with these are like common cues, basic cues, but
But I think at the end of the day, you make quality stuff, and you make stuff that people want to wear. I don't think anyone is getting Gilly, Kevin Hart, LeBron, Chris Paul, any of these people to wear stuff that they don't want to wear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like all eyes was on LeBron when he went to Summer League. When they first got Anthony Davis, he got on the Don C shorts. He got on the standard issue tee. He got on the, I don't know what kind of Lakers hat, and he got on the purple LeBrons.
And you know what he wore the next day? He wore yellow standard issue shorts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you a funny
The
story.
picture with him and Savannah
Yep.
at the Sierra Canyon.
Come on,
yeah.
Look, come on.
This isn't just deals behind the
No.
scenes. This is
Can I tell
people want to wear this.
Can I tell you a story? LeBron's partner, Randy Mims. I meet Randy, and Randy goes, "I'm going to connect you, Jimmy, with LeBron's stylist." I leave his name unmentioned because you don't need to be blown up.
Right. Yeah.
I meet him,
blur it out anyway.
And I sent him a box of stuff, and you got to badger these people. And I'm sure it was fucking annoying. I'm sure he's probably like, God, this guy keeps blowing me up.
Yeah.
So it could be a month, it could be a week, I don't know. He invited myself and my daughter to see Smallfoot.
Okay.
LeBron had a role in that. I don't know if he had a voice.
Okay.
He played, so
I don't know what Smallfoot is. It sounds like a children's
It was a
thing.
It was a Disney film, and we go to the premiere. It's amazing. My daughter's tripping out. Zendaya.
Okay.
She's sitting next to us. She's in it, and we're leaving.
Dang.
And we're in the parking lot at UCLA in Westwood, and there's only 2 cars there. And just as I'm walking up to my car, the gentleman that Randy introduced me to, the stylist, is there. So this is now the second time I'm meeting him, but we're in this parking structure, and it's like this is where you gotta really see what the character of the individual has been blowing your phone up.
Yeah.
And we sat there and we spoke at length about just life, man, about our kids, our backgrounds, mutual friends, and we just built a rapport right then and there. And then from that day forward, he would continuously put our stuff on LeBron.
Dope.
And I was a huge LeBron fan. Like, I remember when Bron was in high school and came to play Strawberry Mansion in Philadelphia, and Bron and what's the gentleman's name? Maurice Rice, I think.
Okay.
They went head to head. It was like one of the biggest high school battles ever. He got a cross off on LeBron. It's on YouTube. So as a basketball fan and as a Bron fan, it's like every time he would wear it, that still to me feels like the first time. And it all came from that dialogue in the parking lot. Like, Randy could introduce me to him. He don't have to put this shit on him. I could have met him that morning or that afternoon in that parking structure. He could have been like, this guy's a goofball, and so much of all of this, I think, like we were saying out in the lobby, is the presentation of whom you put forth. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You can lose a situation before you even had a potential to put yourself in a situation by how you conduct and carry yourself. You can say some dumb shit online that someone that might have wanted to hire you in a year just wasn't in that particular situation yet to pull the trigger for you, saw some dumb shit you wrote then, is like, I'm turned off by that individual,
Yeah. No, I needed to hear that, cause I say dumb stuff online on a daily basis.
Man, I have to check myself regularly. If I see something that doesn't sit well with me, or it's like, even if you're just trying to be funny, you never know who's out there watching and listening.
For real.
You might say something that ain't even offensive to them, but maybe the people that are around them that worked on it, and now they're feeling bad because you're now you don't realize who you're cutting down in it too. So it's I don't know, that's a tangent, but
no, that's valuable information. Definitely,
because I look at you and like, as a you're a gentleman that started. You had your hopes and dreams started in Atlanta. You're in Los Angeles. You're writing, like you said, award shows. These are things that, like, I'm sure a lot of kids that came up with you would dream to be in these opportunities.
For sure.
But you, as the talented comedian that you are, it's like, you understand what has gone into it to get you to this point of us just even sitting here right now.
Facts. Hey, Jimmy, you the first guest that I had that's been on 106 and Park and TRL. You
Man,
know
how sick is that? How sick is that? Yeah, that's a trip, yo. Someone posted like the history of 106 and Park. I loved 106 and Park, and I was like seeing all the people that came on and these like these little historical moments in like rap and R&B, and I was like, what the fuck were we doing up there?
Man, that's so bugged out. Like were you like when all that is going on, when you're in the frenzy of the ice cream skate team, like does it just feel like, does it just feel crazy, or just feel like, do you feel like, or were you getting a feeling of I'm gonna be back, I'm gonna be on this stuff all the time, or like
I think for me personally, my mom would always say, act like you've been there before. Mm-hmm. So I try to go into every situation, with a sense of humility and humbleness. Obviously, there are times where you're like, damn, I am feeling myself right now. How could you not,
Right, right.
And that was part of like, when I used to watch the video, like, especially Terry, I used to be like, man, I wish I could conduct myself like him, because that was kind of what people loved about him and about it. But that just wasn't me. That wasn't where I had, I didn't come up, like, that wasn't my personality.
You didn't want to be Jimmy Compton-esque?
Nah, not even. But like, he just had such a bright and vibrant personality. That bubbled on camera. For me, it was just like a sense of like, specifically that TRL trip where we went and did 106 and Park in the morning. They're picking us. They got us at a nice hotel. They pick us up in the Expedition or whatever it is, Suburban. We got a driver. We got security. Take us there, lunch, go back and do TRL later on that day. And I remember when it was all said and done, I skated from Viacom, which was up there on like 23rd Street.
Okay.
All the way downtown to Supreme, to go hang out with my friends Ty and BB and Price, kids that I skated with that were from New York that would come to Philly, because like those were my homies. You know what I'm saying? Like as much as I loved hanging out with with Terry and Nino and the whole team, like like outside of it, like I also really enjoyed the life that I had and tried to do things that help balance it out. And that's I must have skated all the way down, and I remember getting down there all sweaty and all the shit, and they were like, what are you doing, Jimmy? And I'm like, oh, we just got done at TRL's. And then they're like, what the fuck, like everything was bugged out to people,
right,
it's like,
right.
You're sitting there with this gentleman that's like a super A-list celebrity, and we're just like a bunch of little dirty scumbag skaters. And the fucked up thing is you don't recognize it. And like we said earlier, all good things come to an end. We didn't realize how good we had it. We didn't realize how much of a blessing we had it. And if we all had conducted ourselves as a unit a lot better, and I think at times we acted like we were like the main artists on the roster. You know what I'm saying? Like we were bigger than the Clips, or we were like that. At times you would have guessed that, and if we would have all as a unit came together and toned it down, we would have got another video. They would have continued to pay our our contracts. Yeah. Because we had just, when it came to an end in 2008, we'd all just signed new contracts.
Really?
Like we had all just renewed. We got a little raise. Granted, it was the end of, I think everything comes to an end when it's supposed to, and that moment in fashion and the aesthetic behind it was definitely adjusting. So like,
yeah.
All the things about us might not have transitioned with the times. Everything was all black everything. Like, and 2 years before, not to even be that guy, but I was already wearing all black everything because I couldn't, it was like, yeah, I was already kind of mentally moving into a new space with how I wanted to dress, but it was like, but I say that to say, like, if we were all a little bit more aware of like how our actions were landing with the people that were paying the bills, we could have kept it going a little bit longer, but hindsight is,
I mean, when the board flips came out, I was on their head. Then it
the
was
first
like,
one or the second one?
The first one,
yeah.
And then the second board flips, I feel like they did not hit in Atlanta. I got them on a table for like $20, and it was just like I was still rocking with it, but it was like it was just different because it wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
The segmentation of the business for sure was definitely something to navigate, because like we said, the clothes were getting done by Bape, the shoes were getting done by Reebok.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Nigo was designing the shoes. Like I used to trip that the guys could skate in the first board flip. I couldn't do it. But when that one came out, I loved that one.
Yeah.
The all black, the white with the little green hit on it. But when that second one came out, it was when things were really shifting, fashion-wise and culture-wise.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I have so much love for that shoe, and it brings me back to, certain things bring you back.
I don't know what they made out of. Indestructible.
Yeah.
Like, these not the ones I had in 07. I had the
yellow was a rare color, was it not?
Yeah, no, I just acquired these like
here.
Recently.
And they're still holding together.
Yeah, but I had the I still have them. I have the Terry Kennedy ones.
Yep.
The like a purplish pink on top and then a hot pink on the bottom.
That color was fire.
Yeah. And like the same thing. I don't know what's in them.
Yeah.
Probably not good for the environment because
you can smell it in
they
there.
still feel like 07.
Yeah.
Like they don't feel any different. Yeah, I need a soul swap on my other my board flip ones.
There
like
was some other colors. There was
bit.
like a blue colorway that I think was specifically for the store. It was suede, and I think their ideas was like the way that the Colette had the OG boutique colorways. Like, let's create a colorway like that for the New York store.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. This is a funny story. I don't know if I've ever shared this, but I remember when the New York store opened, and the writing was on the wall.
Yeah,
like you knew things were
the
quiet.
New York BBC store.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if we had gotten a phone call yet that things were like officially done, but I'm not really getting invites to the party for the store, and I'm like, yeah, I would think I'd be like,
right.
on the invite list. Maybe I'm like top 3, right? And I think I just found my way there, and like I just had the sense from everyone, everyone in and around the company. There, it was a shift, and at the store opening, there were fans of the brand. I remember them coming up, and I'm just like, inside I'm knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
And then they have a party afterwards. I remember going to the party, and I just was solo dolo, and I just remember being like, let me just get my wheel and drive back to Philly,
Yeah.
Like, it's a wrap, yo.
Man.
And I just pushed back down there, and and I just was like, man, like it all does come to an end eventually.
Right.
Like this was it was an amazing ride, and it's going to be interesting trying to figure out navigating life after something like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are a handful of people that were waiting for this for me. Like they were like,
yeah,
we can't wait for this motherfucker to fall off.
Dang.
And and all that. That's a interesting place to try to rebound from, and
right.
I applaud people that are able to transition with the times and with the successes, because it's easy, it's easy to find yourselves in them situations and not know where to go from there,
Mm-hmm.
longevity, man. Longevity is the key to all of this shit. You know, whether it's entertainment or skateboarding or whatever. You know, you just do right by people. You don't burn bridges. You work hard, and eventually, some way, shape, or form, the universe will find a way to put you back where you're supposed to be at. You know.
I mean, it's 20 years later, and you flourishing. You're doing great. You know, and so I feel like you know, a lot of people can't say that. You know, there's a lot of people that had shots, and you know, and some people took that as like that was my 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go on and transition and do something else, and you have, but you know, you've created, you know, and continue to do dope things.
I thank you. I really appreciate that, Rob. And I think it's almost not even like what you do when things are really high, more as like what you do when things are really, really low. You know,
right.
Because those are the times where it could put you in situations to do things that are out of character. You know, to throw it's really easy to throw in the towel when things are quiet, right?
Mm-hmm,
you know, so it's like finding the ability to like weather those storms, you know, and when you're seeing things going on that it's other people's times, you know, letting them have their moments, not saying some shit or doing some shit just because it ain't you in them situations.
Right.
You know, it's like, you know, it's a head fuck for sure. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I guess that's just part of life, right? You know, so,
right. Jimmy, what's your favorite color sky?
Like the sky?
Yeah.
Man, right now, I think as a resident of Los Angeles, we've never been more appreciative of just a blue ass sky, man.
Man, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth?
This past week is like,
it's been bugged out.
Yeah,
it's been bugged out for sure.
I've tried to like, you know, I keep formulating these like an Instagram post to put out that, you know, we spend a lot of time in Altadena. My daughters have birthday parties there. She's played soccer games in the Palisades. We've had friends that have businesses and homes in both, and you know, they're both of those communities are such a representation to me of the beauty of Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have these pockets of that, it's like cities within cities,
right?
And as someone that didn't grow up here but has spent, you know, almost the last 20 years here, you know, if you're getting out of whatever your little zone is, you can understand there's so much beauty and so much in so many different places here that make up this full picture, and that this last week has been a real indication of that to me. But then I get on there and I'm like, I don't got anything to say, you know, because
I understand.
You know, I can't. What am I going to say that's going to help anyone that's really dealing with this shit feel any better, you know? And
yeah,
you know, it's a.
I just been, you know, trying to donate, trying to hit people up, trying to, you know, if you know, reach out to people if people need stuff and everything. And
how many people do you know that have lost their home?
I don't know a lot,
but know
I also don't know who I don't know.
Yeah,
that's the trickiest part. Is it's like they're you know, I can't speak in absolutes because you know the people that I've reached out to, you know, I don't know many people that have lost their homes, lost everything, but at the same time, who knows who doesn't have, you know, you know, their last phone charge isn't they go out to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And you know, like I was hooping yesterday, and then you know, this guy left, and you know, like we were still playing another game, and then afterwards they showed me like a picture in a group chat. His house was gone. And it was like, dang, he didn't even say anything. Yeah. You know, it's just like somebody else said something. It's like, oh my God, like that's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I guess his hooping stuff was like in the whip. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But like, yeah, it's just
It was a trip early on. It was like, all right, you see one GoFundMe, see another GoFundMe, and then you lose track of the GoFundMes.
right.
You know, and you're like,
Do I give a lot to one person? Do I give a little to everybody? Do I, you know what I'm saying?
but
Like,
it just was like, to me, it just felt like this tidal wave of people that are in this helpless situation. And a close friend of mine, he lost his crib, and early on, I hit him like, you guys good? And he actually hit me back, and I was like, he's like, dude, we don't have no clothes, Jimmy. I was like, yo, come slide to the crib real quick, give you some stuff. Bro, the glaze on this guy's face, you know, like, you know, it broke me to a core on the sidewalk outside of my crib, you know, like he just was looking through me, you know, and I'm sitting there, my house is behind me, you know, and granted, my daughter's in the crib and she's pretty shook up, you know, so we're dealing with the stress of it, but we're not dealing with it how.
Right.
So, like, if you do see a GoFundMe, like, if you got $3, man, like, just throw it in. Like, these people need bread right now.
Need bread.
You know, like,
you got to,
how long you got to put off, they got to fight to, like, put off their mortgage on hold, and then, you know, these people still got to pay for cribs. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them got, you know, like, you got to rent a crib for however long.
Right.
Cost, like, it's heartbreaking, yo, and this is thousands of people, man, thousands, yo. And I tell you, when I first moved here, this is the end of ice cream. This is 2008, and I'm staying with Terry. I had just taken the Fred Savage job.
Okay.
And on the second or third day of me driving from Terry's crib in Northridge to Torrance, where we're shooting the show at, I'm leaving the crib. It's like 3:30 in the morning, and ash is coming down. This is in 2008.
Okay.
And I get in the wheel. And I put the AC on, and you could smell that. You can smell the smoke in the AC of the car, my little Q45 Infiniti.
Okay.
And
hot at the time in 2008.
Bro,
come on, man.
I was the man when
people
I got that wheel.
People wanted that one.
And but I just was like, it brought me back to that, you know, because I was like, you know, this, you know, we don't. This was like hurricane winds without the water, you know, like the idea of the destruction that could create, you know, and I was like, but the ash and everything, it just was like a very, I don't know, it brought me back to a time and an understanding of like what the you know, the risks are living here,
right?
You know, and how, I don't know, it was a very surreal thought and moment, and you know, it's, you know, if you see a GoFundMe and you got a couple bucks, put it in there.
Donate. Come on, give some money.
You know,
like, also, you know, if you wear bigger sizes, looking for something XL, 2XL, hit your boy up. If you're affected by the fire, because I put that out earlier in the week, and then I got hit up by people. I was like, man, I know you got a good job. You in Atlanta. This ain't for you. I'm talking to people affected by the fire. Jimmy Gorecki, so happy to have you on the Inconsistent Podcast. Anything you want to tell the people? Anything you want to promote?
Two things. If your friend asks you to be on his podcast and he schedules a time with you, understand how difficult it is putting that location into play. Don't back out. Don't be Jimmy like you did the first time. And I owe you an apology.
No, you good. They don't even know about that, man. They don't know about that.
So these podcasts there's a lot of moving pieces to put this in. So if your
good,
friend asks you
man.
to come on her podcast and you set the date, stick to the fucking date.
Nah, man. Hey, emergencies happen. It's
the
all
second
good.
thing is
happy that you were able to come.
The second thing is just keep paying attention to Rob Haze.
Hey.
He's an amazing human being and so funny and talented, and I wish all the success for you, and I thank you for having me on here, brother.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. It's been the Inconsistent Podcast with Rob Haze.
That was hella fun. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
Of course.
We gotta get some pictures.
Yeah. I gotta get the full body so people can see I went all out.
That is amazing, yo. Dude, I remember the first time wearing the denim dog jeans back in the day. And I took the Chinatown bus home from New York. And it's like, bro, you can't be on a Chinatown bus with $400 jeans on.